Marketers are trained to get numbers and stories and portray a picture to make you want to buy their product. They present numbers again, and most people just take it on faith that those numbers are true, those statistics are real. Faith. And that reminds me of a show that I used to watch called It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where one guy is trying to convince the rest of his team that evolution is not real. And he says, even though the greatest scientists of today think it's real, those experts have been wrong sometimes in the past. For example, some people used to think that the Earth was the center of the universe and the sun revolved around the world. Well, they were wrong. His counter says, hey, but what you believe in is creationism. It's based on scriptures and old men who you've never met before. He says, that's true. He says, there's data and figures to prove that evolution is real. He says, yes, data, I can see. Hey, but have you poured through the data yourself? Did you look at those graphs? The guy says, no. He says, then, aren't you also just listening to old men that you've never met and taking their words on faith? Fellow Toastmasters, when you listen to someone's marketing, don't take their words on faith, otherwise you may quite literally pay the consequences. Marketers use 3 techniques to get you to buy things. The first one is general marketing, second is framing, third one is abusing your customer ignorance. So the first one, marketing. People don't buy based on value, they base off perceived value. For example, if you go to a Louis Vuitton store and you buy a purse for $1,000, you could have an equivalently good bag that's only $10 at Walmart. Is the Louis Vuitton bag 100 times better than your Walmart bag? I don't think so. That's called branding. That's called marketing. I went to Chicago a couple weeks ago. On the menu it says they have a deep dish pizza and the cheese melts off the sides and caramelizes the crust. When I got it, the pizza crust was just burned. They changed a negative point to a positive point because it didn't sell more. That's marketing. Framing is when they put a very high number in front of you to set a baseline. For example, in a menu, they might put the filet mignon surf and turf with lobster for $45. Most people say, I can't afford that today. But down below, fish and chips, $15. Okay, that's more reasonable. But the fish and chips might actually have a higher profit margin for the restaurant, so they want you to buy those fish and chips. Another example, Five Guys, right down the street. You may not know this, but if you go to another hamburger place like McDonald's or Burger King, they have the quarter pounder and the larger size. And that works against them in 2 ways, because one, you're asking your customer to buy a bigger burger, which makes them feel guilty about themselves. And also, you're asking them to pay more money, which is something that they don't want to do. But at Five Guys, their regular size burger is called the little burger. And their normal burger, their bigger burger, is just a regular hamburger. So no one goes to Five Guys and buys just the little burger because they think, oh, that's not enough for me. So by framing it, they automatically just buy the regular hamburger and make more money. Another way that marketers get more money from you is by abusing their customer ignorance. The worst people who do this are stockbrokers, I hate to say. When you buy a stock, some companies charge you about 1% to do a trade. You may think, oh, 1 cent on the dollar, not a big deal. Let me buy $10,000 worth of Apple stock, and I'll take a $100 commission. But why would you ever do that if you can just buy it for $7 on Scottrade or for free with Robinhood? Customer ignorance, they don't know. Another thing they try to do is sell you mutual funds from your bank with high fees. They'll say, this mutual fund has been doing above the market for 5 years in a row. But in reality, it's not because that particular broker knows what he's doing, but 5 years ago, he made thousands of portfolios with a bunch of different stuff, and this one portfolio just happened to survive. The rest of them are gone. It's like throwing 1,000 darts at a dartboard. You're bound to get one bullseye. And finally, another thing they do is they'll tell you the average increase every year is about 10%. You think, 10%? We've been trained to think that 10% a year is very good. But guess what? That's the average. And even averages can lie. I found that, for example, if you have $1,000, 10% year over year, next year would be 1,100. The next year would be 1,210. But let's make it easy for everybody. Let's say we had a fund that has a 0% average. So if I had $1,000 to start, next year I'm going to have 1,000. And the year after that I'm going to have
1,000.
Good. But what about this? What if my fund starts at $1,000 and then it increases 50% 1 year? How much do I have?
1,500.
1,500. But what if it goes down 50% the next year?
It goes down to 750.
750. Oh, but the average is up 50, down 50.
Zero.
Still a zero. But they say this is a 0% average fund. But in reality, you lost 25%. What is that? So when they tell you something, you need to think about it a little bit. Do your research. Fellow Toastmasters, holiday season is coming up. Black Friday and Cyber Monday is coming up. Do your research. Don't trust the marketers, or you will, quite literally, pay the consequences.